For more on this, we're joined now by the Johannesburg Water Crisis Committee's Ravin Singh. Ravin, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time this evening. As of earlier this afternoon, around still 4 p.m. or so, Rand Water itself was reporting that the Palmmead pumping station was pumping at approximately 68% of its capacity. How are things this evening? Has that situation improved?
Okay, as Councillor Humphreys was saying, Bedford View is still a problem area. We've got messages from our members or people who sit on our various platforms that Warner Valley and parts of Midrand are badly affected. Bertrams and Kensington and parts of Bez Valley are still affected in our area. I sympathize with what Councillor Humphreys said. I think that when the water is not flowing, Joburg Water, Rand Water needs to increase the information flow. You know, I think in the absence of information, you have all forms of conspiracy. It increases the despair. And we're starting to sound as stuck records. We keep on saying to the city of Johannesburg, we keep on saying to Rand Water, communicate more effectively. Yeah. Tell us what's happening. And I think Councillor Humphreys hit it on the head. We all understand that unlike electricity, switching on the water does not mean an immediate flow, but at least provide reliable information if the water flow is not happening as it should.
You know, the last time the city of Johannesburg, where we saw water not coming on, when everybody, including the city and Rand Water, were expecting that water to be back on, they told us somebody had tampered with a valve. What is the communication that we are getting now?
Well, we've not heard anything about tampering of valves and stuff this time. Well, hopefully they've got their act together, that all these strategic key points where the main valves are, these are being protected, and they're ensuring that there's no sabotage or tampering or whatever the case may be. Hopefully they've learned from that. But what is clear, they haven't learned that not everyone is on WhatsApp, not everyone is on Facebook, not everyone is on Twitter, or X as they call it, for people to get the messages. They are not using community development workers, they are not using their ward committees, and they are not using their councillors effectively. I mean, if Councillor Humphreys is complaining about not being briefed by officials, how can ordinary citizens access this type of information? Yeah. So it's very worrying that both the city of Johannesburg, the city of Ekurhuleni, and Rand Water and their various entities are not getting their act together when it comes to communication. You know, and in a crisis situation, if there's no communication, people tend to believe that all the news is bad. And I think far more needs to be done. It's very worrying that in some places, water tankers are up to 2 or 3 kilometers away from citizens. It's especially worrying for elderly people. It's especially worrying for people who are not well, who do not have access to transport to get water. It's also very heartening that in the midst of this crisis, you have people who are delivering water free of charge, whether it's through water tankers or making their boreholes available to others. I think citizens are trying to work with the cities and trying to work with Rand Water, but they need to come on board. You know, we've been consistent on this message, and we are even getting bored with this message ourselves. But for some reason, there seems to be no interest in communicating with citizens timeously and keeping them up to date.
So you are saying even the interventions, even though where communities are willing to understand that there will be makeshift kind of arrangements of trucks and so on and so forth, those are not coming at least close enough? Are they adequate enough to be able to supply the areas that are facing shortages?
I think the biggest challenge is that people are not aware where these tankers are. These are usually shared through WhatsApp groups by the councillors. But then again, many people are not on WhatsApp groups. You're talking mainly in echo chambers. Simple things like using loud hailers to say the water tanker is here, or using technologies that says, here we have it, there's the location of the water tanker. You can follow where the water tanker is going. And people can follow that through an app or something of that sort. But they really need to pick up the game. And they're not doing that. as far as we're concerned. Yes, there's slight improvements from last year. There's WhatsApp channels and all of these things, but it's still inadequate.
Yeah.
And worse is that when you are saying to residents, be patient, we're trying to fix the problem, at the same time, you're not doing enough to fix leaks in communities. Now, we understand that some leaks cannot be fixed immediately, but in a climate where people don't have access to water, it creates a bad impression. It sends signals to residents that the city does not care. So if the city does not care or Joburg Water does not care, why should we care? You know, if you drive through most places in Johannesburg, but more especially closer to the inner city, like Kensington, Bess Valley, Observatory, and those areas, water leaks is a serious and ongoing problem. And these are not tiny leaks. These are major leaks that are leading to sinkholes, and if repairs take place, you find that the road has been dug up and left like that for weeks or often months at a time. So it's communicating all the wrong things. You know, we appreciate that this maintenance is supposedly proactive, but you lose the PR battle. You lose the battle of keeping residents informed. You create a bad vibe in communities, and you don't get ownership.
Yeah. Ravin, appreciate your time. Let's leave it there for tonight. That's Ravin Singh, the Johannesburg Water Crisis Committee. They're painting a picture of what the residents in the city of Johannesburg are currently going through.